interpretation of the 7 chakras, but from what I've experienced with the 7 bodies, it's more applicable to everyday life, everyday living. So we start at the bottom. First one is, of course, the physical body. Then we move up into the emotional body, mental body, body of the heart, the expressive body, commonly referred to as the throat chakra. It's where we communicate from. The spiritual body, and I'll go into why I call it that. And then there's the cosmic body. Okay? So, start to finish, you've got the physical body, which I've given statements to each one, and there are attributes to each body as well. So I'll start with the statement, I react. Okay, so with the physical, it's all about reactions. You know, we eat something, we get a reaction. Someone pushes us, there's a physical reaction. We hear something, someone says something, we can have a physical reaction to that. We can, you know, kind of make some kind of movement, whether we agree with it or disagree with it. The emotional body, I feel. Okay, so where we move from our reactions, we move into what we feel based on that reaction. The mental body, I think. So here we progress into, I react to something, I get a feeling from it, and now there's a thought that forms based on that feeling from that reaction. The heart says, I know. And this is the trouble spot for a lot of people. This is why people get hurt in the heart, because they go against what they know to be true. And this is where truth sits. We know truth. Whether we want to admit it or not, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we know truth, and it's right here. This is why people get hurt in relationships, because they didn't listen to what they knew before they went in. Okay? It's not because someone stopped loving them. It's because some part of them knew that's not the right relationship for me. This is not the right experience for me. I'm going to override it with what I think or what I believe to be true or what I feel is true, but not what I know is true. And this is the stopping point for a lot of people. They don't acknowledge what they know. The expressive body, I speak. Spiritual body, I see. Now, what I call spiritual is that we see things beyond just the physical expression of truth, life, love, whatever. We can see into a person's words. What they're saying on one level, we can see beyond that. We can see beneath those layers of what they want us to hear, to what they want us to understand. So when we see truth, we can see truth in people's actions. We can see the truth in people's feelings. We can see the truth in people's thoughts, the way they think, their opinions, their attitudes, their assumptions, their beliefs. We can see whether or not there's any truth to that. We can see into the heart of the matter. Okay? And we can see the truth in what people are saying, what they're communicating. But beyond that, I am. Okay? It's one thing to see something for what it is, but to become it moves beyond any concepts, any ideas that we may have. It moves beyond anything. It becomes a part of you. You embody it. And this is where we get understanding. So to understand something is to become it. Okay? We can look at something all day and still not understand it. We have the insight, which allows us to see into something. But again, we can look at something all day long and still not get it. Same thing with communication. So when we communicate, and these are the abilities, these are the attributes of the 7 bodies. So I want to go back down. So when we communicate truth, we still need the insight. When we have the insight, we still need the understanding. So here we have truth, and here we have, well, this is intuition. Okay, so the ability of the heart body is intuition. Why intuition? Because in Latin, the root word for intuition meant to know without being taught. I actually looked it up. And so this is where we know. We just know things. We don't know how we know them. We just know, and it's a solid feeling. It's like stone. It just sits there, unmoving, unflinching, unchanging. It's a known truth. Now, the thinkers try to find their way around truth. They try to find logic to that. And sometimes there is no logic to it that can be perceived by a mind that's hooked on reasoning, that's hooked on trying to rationalize things. With the emotional body, we have empathy. Empathy is a very powerful attribute. It can really move us. It really changes our perception of reality. It changes our mood. We walk into a room with people and we can feel the energy of that room through empathy. When we're around our friends, we can feel when they're sad. Okay, there's no logic to that, but here we feel it. It's empathy. It's pure. It's raw. Okay, but it still doesn't give us that knowing it. Okay, I know what's bothering you, because with empathy, it's just like I feel like something's off. I feel like something's not working. I feel like something's not right here. And so we step into logic to try to figure that out. Well, sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. It's hit and miss. Okay. With intuition, still, it's like I know what's going on, but to communicate what we know, that's a big step. You know, a lot of times we can't put what we know or what we feel into words. So we need to let it sit. We need to let it gestate and sit until we get in some kind of insight into it. It's like, okay, I'm starting to see what's going on here. Until we finally understand completely. And a lot of times it's just saying, back off from the situation, let them deal with it. It's their stuff. Or, this is what I can do in this situation. The last one, which is the first body, most primal sense. Instincts. Okay? Instincts, we react without even feeling something's wrong. We just, we react. And this can make us or break us. We could react in a way that's healthy for us, or we can react in a way that's unhealthy for us. It depends on where we're at with everything else. Because we have an experience that we created a feeling around, or that we had a feeling around, and that becomes an instinct within us. That forms a basis for our instincts. It could be something that we have a thought about. Okay, so getting into the consciousness of each body. Okay, so you have the beginning, which is the infant stage of consciousness. Now, this is where a lot of people exist in relationships. They can have just a purely physical relationship. It's all based on instincts. It's all based on reactions. Guy sees girl, guy likes girl, guy wants to go to bed with a girl. And that's a physical relationship. So I term that as the infant level of consciousness. The next step up, and it's all about the self. Okay, because infants, it's all about them. physical relationships, it's all about the individual. This is what I want. I want to feel this way. I want to be with that person. And they may not necessarily have a care about what happens afterwards, but it's like right here, right now, this is what I want. And with infants, it's everything is physical. You know, grab hair, pull tail, put things in mouth. That's the infant. And they don't care if you're asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. They want to be fed. They want to be changed. They want everything now. They want it their way. With the emotional body, we've got the child, and that's others. Okay, so this is where we're stuck. We get taught as children at that age. How would you feel if someone did that to you, or how do you think they feel when you do that to them? And for a lot of people, they get stuck here in spirituality at this level. They always think about other people's feelings, and that's not nice. How would you feel if someone said that to you? Now, that is a healthy perspective. However, to get stuck there, it does not allow us to see where those other people are coming from. A lot of people, you know, they act like doormats and then they wonder why they get treated like doormats. They attract people into their lives that treat them the way they treat themselves, or that treat them the way they see themselves. This doesn't allow us to really get to that level of seeing. We feel where they're at. Well, they feel sad, but we're not seeing what's behind that sadness. We're not seeing the layers that have been built up over time. So with a child, it's all about feelings and others and whatnot. As we get older, we become adolescents. And adolescent, it's all about the community. Okay, because at the adolescent stage, this is where we really start joining clubs, we start joining teams, we start getting out in the world, we start forming a community. And this is where we begin to have that rift between parents and children, because we start thinking for ourselves, and the adults are going, oh boy, they're thinking for themselves now. So this is where it starts to happen, the change, the shift. People are less likely to be able to just tell us anything. As children, as infants, they can tell us anything and we'll just absorb it. We're sponges. But as we get older, we start to form our own thoughts as we get out into the community. With the heart, it's the teenager. And this is the classic teenager phrase, I know. Ask any parent that's had a teenager. Anytime a parent tries to tell that teenager something, I know, stop telling me, I know. Go away, I know. They know it all. But the difference is between the teenager and the adult, which is right here, the adult can communicate what they know, whereas the teenager has not had that experience. They may know something, but they don't know how to communicate it. And this is the frustration of teenagers, and this is why they rebel against everything. Because they don't want people to tell them what they already know. So the teenager society or social, their level of consciousness has gone into society. And this is why the media targets teenagers, because they're not quite adults yet. They know all the answers, or they think they do, but they don't know how to communicate it. So we got to get to them, says the media. We got to get to the teenagers and start forming the way they think, start forming the way they see life, the way they communicate who they are, the way they express who they are. Get them into these clothes, get them to listen to this music, get them to watch these movies. We're going to tailor everything to the teenage mind, and that's where it begins. Right there. That's the cutoff point. Once we become adults, we've learned how to communicate ourselves. We've learned how to express ourselves. We've learned how to speak up for ourselves. But as teenagers, we're still lost. And we're still open to suggestion. And as long as we're not getting it from people that are trying to tell us to be something that we don't want to be, uh, we're going to be open and receptive to anything that comes in through music, through movies. You know, all of our filters go off because it's not mom and dad, it's not the teachers at school, it's not the people that we're trying to rebel against. It's the people that we want to be like, it's the people that we want to be uh, popular with, even though those people have no idea who we are. They just see it as a marketable uh, product, okay, that in time they can make a lot of money off of. And as we become adults, we're going to stick to everything we are as teenagers, and everything we are becoming as teenagers. So society is heavily invested in the teenager. And this is the critical point right here. This is where we really need to get to know who we are. And this is where a lot of people get trapped in, right here. They resort back to their teenage days. People acting like they're still at the high school proms. People still acting like, you know, they're dating and all that stuff. And so it gets transferred into what they presume or assume is being an adult. Okay? So a lot of teenagers, they get caught up. It's like, okay, I got to make money. I got to get a job. I want to buy a car. I want to date this person. I want to date that person. And because we never grow beyond that, we become adults at the teenage level. We stay at the teenage level consciously. The adult, however, the real adult, is not only honest with themselves, and this is the key to maturity, being honest with ourselves. We start communicating that truth, okay? Not someone else's truth, our truth, the truth that's in the heart, the one that when we adhere to it, when we connect to it and express it, we're happy. When we're not happy, we're not experiencing that truth. We're experiencing someone else's truth or someone else's version of truth, but not ours. When we speak that truth, we're happy because we're expressing it in everything we do. Everything we say, everything we wear, everything we listen to, it's our truth, not someone else's. Not someone on stage, not someone on TV, not someone on the web. At the spiritual level, we enter into what I perceive as the elder. Okay, the elder is that, well, it's like what I call a solar consciousness. Here we have, at the adult level, we have a global consciousness. Because the adult starts thinking beyond what's popular, what's on TV, you know, who's in the latest magazines, who did what with whom, and how that came about. The adult, the real adult, doesn't care about that stuff. They care about things that impact us on a global level. Okay, so think bigger than your screen. Think bigger than what you're reading in newspapers, what you're reading in magazines. Go beyond that. Become global. Go beyond borders. Go beyond all these limitations which society inflicts on us. Go beyond all that. The elder takes it a step farther because they see how things work. They see the sun, they see the planets, and they see how things work. They may not necessarily understand it, but they have that vision. They can see things. Okay, so when this turns this way, this comes through. And when this comes through, this comes in here. So it's like watching a three-dimensional puzzle in motion. Okay? And that's the solar perspective, what I call the solar consciousness. You could even call it the galactic consciousness, because the next step is the ascendant. Now, the ascendant is universal. It goes beyond anything. All thoughts, all ideas, all concepts, out the window. It just is. I am. Okay? It's a state of being. I understand all because I am all. How am I all these things at once in one body? Because I've let go of all this stuff, all these concepts. These are just steps to get us to this point. That's it. Everything just falls out. So it incorporates all these things, all these colors, all these expressions, all these ways of being, all these reactions, feelings, thoughts, truths that we know, communications, insights, we become that basic essence. It becomes our core, and from that core, we just are. We're not trying to do something, we're not trying to be something, we simply are. And